everybody. Hope everyone's doing well. Hank Wolff here to interview a professional and a friend of mine here. So this is Beckett Horner, and he is a partner at Block Scarpa here in Vero Beach. And they are a law firm that specializes in real estate transactions and closings. Thanks for coming on.
Sure. Thank you for having me.
Okay, great. Well, I know we're getting a lot of questions, which is just a common thing. So I'll just go ahead and say that just about every real estate contract, there is a reference to force majeure,
right.
Also called the act of God. So since I know you're getting asked it, what is it and how does it apply now with COVID-19?
Sure. So generally speaking, force majeure is, like you said, an act of God. It's an event or an effect that can be neither anticipated or controlled by either party to the contract. And the force majeure provision in the FAR bar contract allocates risks depending on whether a force majeure event occurs. I think the FAR bar gives examples of force majeure events like hurricanes, floods, extreme weather, acts of terrorism, fire, earthquakes, unusual transportation delays, even wars and events of insurrection. So it has to be something relatively narrowly tailored and specific, but also really, really substantial in its impact.
Yeah, okay, interesting. So I'm going to ask the next question. Where we are either now or in the last couple of weeks, are we in one of those situations? I mean, is the COVID-19 health crisis one of those that you just listed? So
there's no doubt that COVID-19 has impacted pretty much every single corner of the economy and of society. The simple legal answer is that we don't know whether COVID-19 is considered a force majeure under the standard FAR bar contract provisions. We don't know because nobody's tested it in court. It's been too short a time. It's been 6 weeks maybe since things have been substantially altered. When you read some of the court cases about force majeure in Florida, those cases kind of lend itself to saying that no, the COVID-19 would not be considered an act of God or a force majeure event. The reason being, people can still transact, people can still get to their banks, people can still consummate the transaction as would have been expected under the contract originally.
So are you seeing people in any significant way just completely back out of deals that they had previously agreed to, buyers or sellers, based on COVID-19? And do they have a legal ground to stand on for anything like that? Is it common right now?
Sure. So it's important to remind people that if they're purchasing or selling a property under an as-is contract, if you're still within that inspection period, the buyer can back out for any reason. And that includes COVID-19 has wrecked my 401k and I don't feel comfortable going forward, so I'm going to cancel the contract. That's completely legal. That's still exercising your right under an existing contingency. If that contingency has passed, then you really can't rely on it to cancel the contract, and you really can't rely on the force majeure provision. But some articles that state that there could be some promising provisions under the financing contingency provisions of the contract, meaning people may not be able to get financing right now. I still think that's pretty weak because I still think banks are lending and everything is being done remotely. So we haven't really seen many people just throw up their hands and give up and walk away, because I don't think there's a good contractual basis ever to do that under the circumstances right now. But notwithstanding the fact that you can't just walk away contractually, it does make the transaction a lot more difficult.
Okay. Well, in the real life day-to-day of it, for the transactions that your office is working on, what are you seeing differently, and what are you doing to, is it just that things are happening slower, or they're just, what are the different logistics? Obviously, I'm sure you're not having many in-person meetings and things like that. What do the logistics look like for someone who's thinking of buying or selling?
Right. So on our side, we're handling a lot of the title work, which doesn't seem to have skipped a beat. The title offices and the title insurance underwriters are still working pretty quickly to get things turned around. The financing side definitely has slowed down because I think major lenders are reallocating workforce to other loan programs like the PPP loan and other things like that. So there seems to have been a shift in workforce from normal real estate lending to other types of lending right now. Mm-hmm. So there have been financing delays, but that's not to say that financing doesn't come through. What we're doing, we are limiting in-person meetings. We're utilizing traveling notaries, people that will go to your house, notarize the documents, and get them back to us. Those have been pretty popular for mail-away closings for a long time, but they're seeing their day in the light right now for sure. Mm. Also, Florida passed a law in January, or implemented the law for remote online notarization. So we're working with some services that were on the ground first with regard to remote online notarization to actually remotely notarize documents, meaning we can mail the closing documents to a client and the client can get on a call like you and I are on right now with a remote online notary service, and their documents can be notarized remotely and they come back to us. Some banks are pushing back on this because it's not a 50-state type of situation. But some banks are fine with it. And of course, we have to clear that first, but it's been working well.
Right. And, I know from the day-to-day of working here on the Treasure Coast where there's so many people buying second homes and things like that, we do remote closings and mail-away closings, and they've been around for a long time. It's very much day-to-day, especially in the summer, right?
Yep. I mean, in this area, you could say half of the residential closings are mail-aways. Yeah. It's convenient for people. It's a lot less expensive for us to utilize the infrastructure to get them documents and use a notary up there and get them back to us than it is for a husband and wife to hop on a plane for a weekend. Yeah,
absolutely. Okay. Well, if there's anyone out there that's thinking of buying or selling now, but they've got concerns about how the contract would work and about closing now, any last words for them or anything like that, just to give them some insight of what they might be looking at in the next few months?
Yeah, the FAR Bar and the Florida Board of Realtors has put out a couple draft addendums to contracts regarding some delays in the contingencies and the closing dates. It's basically their preferred language and best practices. We are recommending that people include in the additional terms of their contracts that an explicit statement that COVID-19 or any consequences of COVID-19 won't be considered a force majeure event under the normal provisions of the contract. That really wipes the entire thing from the playing field and allows you to close or continue to close normally.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's in one way to mitigate your risk there as well. Okay, well, those are the things I wanted to go over. I appreciate, Beckett, you taking the time to fill us in. And your office is right there at Indian River Drive. So if anyone's curious, what's the best way to get a hold of you in your office?
Yeah, so we're still open. We have a couple people working remotely, myself included. I'm in and out of the office. Like I said, we're limiting in-person meetings, but we're still open for business. If anybody needs any help with any of this, they can simply call us at our office, 772-794-1918, and we'd be happy to talk to them.
Okay, cool. Well, Beckett, again, I appreciate you taking the time, and good luck with everything going forward, okay?
Thanks, you too. Appreciate it, Hank.
Great. Take care.
See ya.
Okay, see ya.
Bye.